my resume to the Canadian format. And
what did you communicate to your manager?
Jobs will be filled before it gets posted. There was a tip that she gave me, and finally I got my offer letter. Ever since I thought of moving to Canada, one of the biggest fears that I had was leaving my job and finding a new one here. Getting used to that paycheck that hits your account at the end of every month is a feeling that I didn't want to let go of. That also was a big fear.
Having worked for 7 years in my dream role and in my dream organization, and leaving all that behind and starting from scratch in a new country was a very big fear for me. While finding a job in a new country is scary in itself, doing this right after a pandemic and hearing the news of an upcoming recession was a really big fear for both of us. Hi guys, welcome back to our channel Be Kind. This is me Kriti.
And this is me Shrey.
Those of you who don't know us, we are new immigrants in Canada and we came to Canada around 3 months ago.
And both of us landed in Canada with our dream roles already. And a lot of people asked us on our channel, how did we do it? How did we land in Canada with our jobs already secured? And this video will be really important for you if you are in India or back in your home country and looking to land in Canada to find your job. But it will also be really important for you if you are already in Canada and looking for a better job, because we will be sharing some tips and tricks which will be really helpful for you. Also, towards the end of this video, I will share my resume format which you can use and craft to get your dream role. So definitely stick till the end of the video.
And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel. This is a new journey that we are starting here, and you subscribing to the channel will really boost us and help us grow. And it will also help us reach to a wider audience.
Let's start this video.
So in today's video, we will be talking about Shrey's profile. His profile is a non-technical profile and he comes from a non-technical background. In the next video, we will talk about my profile and background. I come from a technical field, so you will have viewpoints of both the backgrounds when you're looking for jobs and tips and tricks from both the areas. So the format of this video is going to be in a very different way. We will be going via a question and answer round. So I will be asking him questions on his journey, his professional background, and he will be answering those questions. So Shrey, tell us about your educational background and your professional career in India.
So I initially did my engineering degree or bachelor's in engineering till 2013, and then I did my MBA till 2015. And after doing my MBA, I joined an organization where I worked for 7.5 years in the same organization before I moved to Canada. I initially joined in their marketing profile in the pharmaceutical division or medicines. Like marketing for medicines was my role, and after doing that role for about 5 years, handling different products, I moved to the FMCG division or fast moving consumer goods, which is basically everything that you find in a grocery shop, like your soap, oil, powder and everything else. I was doing sales for that division, handling one of the zones in India and also managing a team. After doing that role for about 15 months, I was promoted to a manager handling commercial operations for half the country. That's the role that I was doing before I moved to Canada.
So could you share your Canadian PR process journey with us? When did you start your process and when did you get your COPR?
So we have made actually 2 videos on our channel about our PR process, and we will link them up here. But just to share briefly, I started my PR process in Feb of 2019, and because of the COVID, it got delayed a lot, and we finally got our COPRs in August of 2022.
Okay, so say we go back in time and we are sitting in August of 2022. What steps did you do or what did you do in your career that helped you land a job in Canada? Did you do anything before that?
So there were a lot of decisions that I took right after I created my PR profile, which helped me in August of 2022. Firstly, as I said, I tried to expand my exposure to multiple industries and functional areas. By August 2022, I had experience of 2 industries, pharmaceutical and FMCG, so I could apply to roles in both these industries I also had experience in sales, marketing, and commercial operations. So 3 profiles were open for me in 2 industries. So that was the first decision that I took. And also I realized that I was working for a global multinational company with offices around the world. So I did not want to switch my organization. So that's why I made the decision of sticking with my organization instead of making multiple switches in my career. Although that would have led me with a higher package. But the reason I didn't do that was the decision number 3, which is really important, that is networking. While staying in the same organization, I was able to build a network for myself, a network of peers, sponsors, and mentors, not just in India but globally, which helped me as August 2022 came.
So guys, these are great tips if you're looking for a job, be it technical or a non-technical background. Staying with your company for a longer period of time, building that network, and also exposing different variety of roles within your organization will really help you, whether you are in a tech background or a non-tech background. So I think these points are really great, and I'm sure they really helped you land the job that you wanted in Canada. So while those were great points, do you have more points that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, a few. So what I additionally did was I got involved in projects outside of my role. So I started an employee resource group, which is a group of people who come together in an organization for a common cause. I started one of these employee resource groups in India, and in about 3 years, I was leading it at the Asia Pacific level. So this helped me build connects, not just in India, but also globally. In addition to that, I also networked with senior leaders and HR professionals in my organization. I used to coach interns that used to come into our company, going to various colleges to give presentations. So I always wanted to build an extracurricular profile outside my role, which gave me an exposure. And the basic thing at the base of this was performing in my role, so that nobody could say that I am not doing my role to the best of my ability. So in addition to my role, I devoted extra time for all these activities outside.
These are great things and tips and tricks to have that visibility and exposure in your career. Let's go back and talk about what did you do when you actually got your COPR? What were the steps you took, and how did you let your organization know about it?
So as soon as the COPR came, I updated my resume to the Canadian format, and I will share my resume format in the end of the video. I also updated my LinkedIn profile to reflect my location to Toronto, so that I could start getting job openings of Canada and not Mumbai where I was living. There were additional things that I did to my LinkedIn profile, a lot of tips and tricks which Kriti actually taught me. She's actually a LinkedIn expert on branding yourself, and we will cover a lot of these in the next video as well. In addition to that, I started looking for roles outside my organization via LinkedIn, primarily reaching out to HR professionals on LinkedIn who have put the posting with a personal message that I have applied to that profile. And I also thought that this is a good time to inform my manager about my intention to move to Canada.
So what did you communicate to your manager, and how did that conversation go?
So actually, before I told him about this, I was having conversations with him that it is my interest to move outside India. I didn't mention anything about Canada. Nobody in my company knew that, but I built it into his head that I'm thinking about moving outside India. I didn't mention Canada. So this helped me put a base to my conversation. So when I got my COPR, I told him that, as I was discussing with you, it was always my intention to move outside India, and this is a personal thing that I was doing for the past 4 years, that I did this Canada PR process, and he understood it very calmly. He said that it will be a loss to the organization, but of course, if it's a personal motivation that you have been trying for 4 years, we will support you fully in your aspiration. And that is why I thought that the best chance that I had was to move within my own organization to Canada instead of moving outside to other organization, because I had applied to multiple roles but I was not getting any callbacks.
So now that you have informed your manager, you have followed the steps of having that visibility in your organization, what really helped you land a job here? Did you apply through internal job profiles, or did you go through an agent, or did you look externally for jobs?
So when I was having this conversation with my manager, he asked me, okay, so we have to look for a job for you, but how much time do you have? And that is a good thing that happened with us because our medical had expired and we had given re-medicals in May of 2022. So our COPR was expiring in May of 2023. So when I was having a conversation with my manager, I told him that I have 7 to 8 months to find a job in Canada. It wasn't a hurry. I wasn't asking him to find a job in the next 1 or 2 months. That's very difficult to find a job in such a short amount of time. So I told him I will start looking for a job, but I also want references of leaders in India so that I can reach out to the leaders in Canada. And that is also what happened. After my manager, I had an interaction with my HR head as well as my MD back in India that I want to move outside. And while they also asked me to stay back in India because it is the decade of India and there is a lot of growth that's happening, which is true. But once they understood that I wanted to move out, they told me that we will reach out to people in the Canadian organization, like the HR head will reach out to the HR head of Canada to put a word for myself. So this process took about 3 months, informing everybody. It takes a long time in the organizations. And then by November, I was ready to apply to roles within the organization through internal job posting.
Okay, and how was your experience when you started applying internally? Did you get callbacks immediately? What did you, I know you updated your resume as per Canada format and your LinkedIn profile. What else did you do internally to get your job here?
Yeah. So another thing that I did internally, so when I started applying, there were not a lot of jobs that I could see, but I was always on the lookout on the internal job posting. And also through my connects, I was networking with people so that I could get to know about jobs which are about to come on the portal, which have not even come. Because that always happens in Canada. Jobs will be filled even through networking before it gets posted. So I was having connects with leaders in Canada to understand about what are the possible opportunities that would come in the future where my profile could fit. So while all of this was going on, I saw a role. I remember I had gone on a field trip and I told you that, I see this opening, and there was a tip that she gave me that in addition to applying on the role, also reach out to the manager.
Yeah.
And we have an internal company portal where we can reach out to anybody in the company. So after applying on that job, I also sent a message to the hiring manager of that role that this is my profile. Although I am in India right now, I have my COPR and I can land almost immediately. This is my profile, so please consider.
So yeah guys, networking is a power game when you're looking for jobs, and it worked beautifully in our cases, both for Shrey and for me. So reaching out to hiring managers, being proactive and looking out for jobs, and then reaching and forming that network with the right people is a game-changing thing that you can do when you're looking for jobs. So you reached out to the hiring manager and you said you started applying for different roles internally. So did you get any response, or how was your response or experience when you were looking for jobs internally?
Yeah, so few people in Canada definitely reached out saying that my profile is not suitable. But a couple of them said that, apply to the process and we will look at your resume. And I also got a connect through my network of the vice president of Canada organization. And through that, he helped me understand a lot of open positions even before they came. And ultimately, I got interview call for one of the roles.
Now, could you walk us through how the interview went? What were the steps? Or what type of questions did they ask you? How many rounds did they conduct in the entire interview process?
So there were a total of 3 rounds. Firstly, the HR asked me about my status of my PR and my role here in India. And he also asked for references in the India organization so that they could reach out and take a background of my work in India. So that was the first round. After that, there was an interview with the hiring manager wherein he understood that I don't have Canadian experience, but he wanted to understand how I will react to different situations. So to prepare for that interview, I prepared various examples of my behavior. How do I deal with a crisis, or how do I deal in a situation where I have failed, or any successful project in the past. I wrote various examples and I used the STAR methodology to talk about that.
Okay, and what do you mean by STAR methodology?
So STAR methodology is situation, task, action and result. So to share your anything in the interview, you should start with describing the situation. Then what were the tasks that you did to address that situation? What were the actions that you had to take for those tasks? And then what was the result ultimately? So everything I framed around this methodology, and this really helped me. After the hiring manager, there was one final round with leaders in the organization. So in total there were 3 rounds.
3 rounds. How long did it take for you to actually get the offer letter?
Yeah. So I think I reached out to the manager in November. That's when the opening came. And finally I got my offer letter around December end. So it took about 2 months for the entire process.
Also, I wanted to know, when you were looking for jobs internally, did you apply for the same role, or were you looking at different levels or different roles than what you were doing in India?
Yeah, so in India, because of my experience, I was at the manager grade, but I knew that in Canada, I do not have the experience of that level, and there were lesser roles also of the manager position. So I was open to applying to roles 1 or 2 levels below my existing level in India, and the role that I ultimately got was also 1 level below what I was doing. But I was okay, because you are coming to a new organization and a new country, so you have to learn everything about Canada. So I was happy in fact that I can come at 1 level lower, so it gives me more time to learn and then grow in the organization.
So those were great tips, and I hope it really helped the viewers and people who are watching us. But do you want to now share the format of your resume that helped you get this job in Canada?
Yeah, so for that I will share the resume format, but for that I will take you on my laptop screen. At max, it should be 2 pages. Even if you are a CEO, don't have your resume more than 1 or 2 pages, because nobody has the time to read it. It should start with your personal information, the first name and last name. When I was in India, I had changed my resume to write relocating to Ontario or Toronto. But if you are already in Canada, you can change this to your address, put your email ID, your phone number and your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a Canadian phone number, you can use a digital phone number, but only do that if you have plans of coming to Canada and if you have your COPR already. Start with your current position. This was my current position. There, write 4 to 5 points which give a highlight of your current position and your job descriptions, and ensure that you are tailor making this to the job you are applying for. Look at the terminology of the job description from the job opening and change this accordingly. Start with your employment history, write your current position and your job description. This can be similar to your highlight, but this can be slightly more in detail. Start with your start date and end date here, and in addition to the job description, also write results or awards, 1 or 2 points for each of your descriptions. And also, as you will see, I have not put the location or the city name. So try to keep your resume as location neutral. Don't put that you have worked in Mumbai or in Bangalore or in Hyderabad or in Delhi. Just put your current position and your company name, so that your employer or your potential employer does not judge you by your location of work. In addition to your employment history, mention any special projects if you have done, like we talked about, and then write your education. Also here write your college name, but no need to mention your grades or your location of your college. End the resume by writing your certifications. These were the certificates that I did, which were specific to the role that I was applying for, but you can continue to show that you are regularly doing certifications to ensure that your employer knows that you are upskilling yourself continuously. So this was my resume format. Hope this will be helpful for you.
So these were really great tips and tips, and I really hope these help you out in looking for a job in Canada. We will be making a separate video that will cover my background and what did I do to land a job in Canada in the tech field. Thank you.
And guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. This will mean a lot to us. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section and we'll try to address as many as possible.
And also, it was a very scary thought of leaving our settled jobs in India behind and moving to a new country and starting from scratch. We didn't have anyone to mentor us. I hope we could do that for people who are watching us and who are our subscribers, that we could help you out in that process, at least by sharing these tips and tricks and things that worked out for us.
And if we can do it, then you can do it as
Yes.
well. So definitely be patient in that process because it will take a long time. But hopefully some things that we have discussed today will help you. So we will look forward to seeing you in the next video.
Bye-bye.